Today, uh, we have strategy and AI tools that empower your campaign. Um, my name is Amber Westbrook. I'm Program Officer with Central Carolina Community Foundation, focusing on capacity building for nonprofits. Also, we have with us Chantrell Mitchell today, who is all things Midlands Gives. I know that y'all have a close relationship with her, I am sure, and she is helping everyone answer all questions, get you registered, and of course, making sure that you have everything you need regarding the Midlands Gives website, and of course, helping again through the portal as we are able. Um, Today, we have the lovely Hailey Evans with us. She is our presenter for today. She is also the founder of Epic Operating System. So it's a strategy-first platform that transforms complex missions into clear, high-impact content that sparks engagement and fuels giving. So this includes the Epic Communication Framework, which we will hear a little bit about today, and then also the Epic Storytelling app, which we'll also hear about. So from food stamps to keynote stages, Hailey helps mission-driven leaders turn their message into movements, amplifying their voice, growing their impact, and activating their influence through the power of story. So without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Hailey Evans.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am so blessed to be here, and big thanks to Amber and Chantrell. They've gone to a lot of work to make this a success, and so we want you to get the very most out of today. So I am going to share my screen. And if you have any questions that pop up along the way, feel free to put them in the chat box. And I will have a few questions for you. So be sure to keep listening and be ready to add your 2 cents. So we're going to talk about strategy and AI tools that empower your campaign. So we're going to cover today the Epic Communication Framework, which is how you can structure any message to engage fast, persuade clearly, and drive action. We're also going to talk about how you can scale your story. How can we turn one big story or one strong message into many emails, posts, and appeals in minutes so we can increase your capacity and get you focused back on your mission? And then I'm going to do a live demo. We're going to do Chat GPT, and then I'm also going to share a little bit of my platform and offer you a special little bonus at the end. So stay tuned. You are sitting on a stack of $1 million stories, and we just have to get them into a framework that connects with your audience, and amazing things will happen. So these are my 2 sons. They're grown now, but I earned a total of $52,000 in grants and scholarships because of effective storytelling. And that allowed me to complete 3 degrees, including an MBA. And so I learned the power of storytelling at that point. I'm a StoryBrand certified guide. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've trained a lot of nonprofit leaders. I've got great subscription with my email and open rate, and released a couple books this last year. So share a little bit more of that with you. Okay, so I love that Amber and Chantrell took the time to poll you ahead of time. And so here were the 3 top concerns that you had. You want clear direction on which AI tools to use and how to use them effectively. You want messaging systems that actually work, even with a small team. And you want to turn your engaged community into consistent donors. Does all that resonate? Is there anything that you might want to just add on there? Anything specific? Feel free to open up the chat and put something in there. I'd love to see. What makes for a great story? Think about the last story that you heard and what are those components? And put this in the chat. I'm going to give you just a minute. Think about one component that makes up a great story. Relatable, emotion, yes. Good. Thank you, Laura and Chambry. What else? Background of the story, absolutely. Yes, you want to be able to see yourself in the story. Absolutely. Character, yes. Connection, yes. Thank you, Bonnie and Taylor. Blakely and Michaela, yes. Hero overcoming the problem. Absolutely. We've got to overcome the challenge. Conflict. Yes. There's no conflict. There's no story, right? Compelling hope. All right. Patty has a question there. I'll probably get back to that. Let's see, who should my target audience? Okay, we'll get back to that. Passion. Okay, yes, all great answers. All right, so I'm going to tell you the 5 components that make a story great. Number 1, somebody hit it on the head with relatable character. Got to have relatable character in your story. So think about a donor, think about a recipient, think about a volunteer. Maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody on your team. Relatable character. You've got to share genuine emotion. How were they feeling? Were they sad? Were they mad? Were they excited? What happened that made them feel emotional? Number 3, this is the one that most people miss: moment in time. When you can share a specific moment of transformation, that brings everyone in to your narrative. And so if you think about the story I shared when I took my 3-ring binder and I sat down with all those 5 women, you were able to be transported to that moment. So just think about moment in time. Number 4, you need to share specific details. Instead of saying, we served 5,000 people this year, focus on one story, the most transformative story that you have. You will have a big difference. And then finally, what's the 5th thing we always need to have? What's number 5? I know somebody knows it. Ask. Yes, the results. Call to action. We always need to say what it is we want them to do. What are the next steps? And make it crystal clear and no friction. Okay. So those are the 5 components to a storytelling blueprint. Okay, now I'm going to take it one step further. What is the one word that describes how to cut through the noise? There's so much noise right now in our world. Clarity, right? Yes, Kevin, specific steps close. Clarity. We need to have the utmost strategy when we go into all of our communication. We need to make sure that every word counts. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple not so great stories that I have seen. And so the first one is I actually got to meet the executive director at Star Gospel Mission in Charleston, and this was before the EPIC framework. So I'm going to show you how to set up a really great story. And then we'll talk about how we can scale it and put it into all kinds of different repurposing content. Okay, so here's this. Dear friend, thank you for taking the time to review this case for support for the expansion of the mission services in the Low Country. As the executive director of Star Gospel Mission, I have witnessed firsthand the escalating need for support services for the unhoused in our community. In fact, I want to share with you some critical statistics that highlight the severity of the issue. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Is anybody excited to read that list of bullet points? Probably not, because we haven't given it any context. Why should we care about these bullet points? So here is the after. Engage. Dear friend, Ethan's story began with heartbreak but ended with hope. For years, Ethan struggled with addiction, losing not only his stability, but also his connection to the people who mattered most. When he arrived at Star Gospel Mission, he was looking for more than just a place to sleep. He was searching for a chance to rebuild his life. Now, further on down, you can see that we have these statistics, the same statistics that were in the first one. But now we have given it context because we have talked about Ethan, and we're all in about Ethan getting the help he needs. And so after persuade, we have inspire, right? We want to paint the vision. We want to say, hey, this is what we need. We're trying to raise money for our capital campaign. Your support will help us expand the men's program, launch women's transitional housing, and develop substance abuse. Okay, that's the inspire. Now, here comes the close. Remember, we want that clear next step. Here is how you can give. One-time gift or pledge to our campaign. Will you join us in writing the next chapter of Hope for Charleston? Okay, so do you see all of the components of a storytelling blueprint? You've got your relatable character, genuine emotion, you've got a moment in time, you've got specific details, and you have the close and the call to action. Okay, now It's easy to say, oh, yeah, that sounds better, but why does it sound better? Okay. Develop the epic framework comparison table so that we can see exactly why. So we have the original version, which is starts with stats and general info. The epic version is a personal story about Ethan's transformation. The psychological trigger is that it invokes empathy and narrative immersion, captures attention and emotional investment, right? The persuade original listed facts and general statements. But the epic version had urgent needs and proof of Ethan's success. That's so important to make sure that you have proof of all the good things that you do for your recipients. This builds trust and credibility. Finally, inspire, they were vague hope based language. Now we have clear before, during, and after, and that helps us envision the impact and it sparks aspiration and alignment in your mission. Then finally, close, generic closing. Instead, we have a strong call to action with giving options and clear impact, which drives action with reduced friction and choice. So, the reason why stories work is because raw data informs, but stories are going to move people to act. So, we can wrap the data into that human experience and get both the emotional and rational decision making centers of the brain. Because remember, we make decisions first based on emotion, and then we back them up with logic. So the conversion insight is that stories are 22 times more memorable than facts alone. So when you lead with a real person, think about the one story that stands out in your mind for your mission right now. Think about the transformation they had. And I want you to just think about the components that you could maybe use in a story about them. And it's okay, they can be anonymous. You can certainly keep their name in private. And so, but I just want you to expand your thoughts and think about one story. Okay. Who is feeling this with AI right now? Feeling a little bit like, oh my goodness, where do I start? I noticed that a lot on the polling. So, would anyone like to share just where they're at? What are the emotions that come up when you think about AI? Is it something that gets you excited? Is it something that is kind of you're frustrated? You're not really sure what to do? Yes, Ruby, you are my gal. Love AI. Yes, Shandy, love it. Very good. Anybody else? Yes, but ugh. Yeah, excited. Yeah, good. Well, when I learned about I was so excited I could not sleep for 3 nights. True story. I was just so excited because I'm a marketer and now I could expand my capacity. The cool thing is that now since I've learned to leverage I can pass those savings on to clients. And so let's talk a little bit about AI. Um, all right, so we're going to first talk about the EPIC framework, go into a little bit more detail so that you know about this. So I created the EPIC framework based on a lot of my stories and what I wrote. I'm like, I think I'm a good storyteller, but I don't really know why. So I came up with an acronym so that you can use. It's a universal, emotionally resonant messaging framework that works everywhere for any audience on any platform. So whether you are creating a social media post that's really short, or you're doing a long donor appeal letter, or you are doing a presentation, if you can remember this framework, it will be universal and you can modify it for any audience, whether it's a donor, volunteer, or a community member. Okay, E stands for engage. P is persuade. I is inspire. And you probably guess C is for close. All right, so we're going to take it one step further. You got to engage with a bold hook. Okay. Start every message with a very emotional or thought provoking line. This is your attention grabber. If you don't grab their attention in that first sentence, the rest of it is just not even going to matter. So we've really got to focus our attention on the subject lines, on headlines, and on that first sentence of every message. Okay, second part, we're going to persuade. Once you have their attention, we're going to build trust through a real moment, maybe like that moment in time. We're going to have a relatable human example and a compelling statistic and what it means for them, the reader. How does it apply to them? Remember, we always want to relate what we share with that reader so that they have got so much excitement. They just want to say, hey, where can I give my money? Where can I get involved? How can I help? All right, then we're going to inspire with vision. Did you know that most people actually give to vision instead of need? Now we've got to show the transformation. What happens when your work succeeds? And paint that picture of the future that connects to your readers' values and aspirations. And finally, we're going to close with clear next steps. End every message with a simple, direct call to action. Make the next move obvious and make it easy. Make it very easy for them. If you have to click more than 2 times, it's too much. We have the attention span of a gnat these days. So we've really got to make sure that we are very organized in how we are moving our donors through the process. Here's an example. Without the EPIC framework, hi, I'm here to talk about our organization. We serve families in crisis and offer a range of services, including housing, case management, and job training. We've been operating for 12 years and have helped hundreds of people. Last year, we provided over 3,000 midnights. We're always in need of donations and anything helps. Please consider giving if you can. Visit our website for more info. Now, what do you think? Does that really get y'all excited to learn more about their organization? They're missing the relatable character, the genuine emotion, the moment in time, the specific details, and a clear call to action. So yes, ma'am. Okay, here we go. Here is another example with the EPIC framework. So I want you to follow along for Engage. The first time I met Maya, she was sleeping in her car with her 2 children in the back seat. That is the hook. You're already like, oh, Maya, what happens to Maya? Then we have Persuade. That moment changed how I saw our mission. When we offered Maya a safe place to stay, she cried, not just from relief, but because someone finally saw her worth. Her story isn't rare. That's why our work matters. Okay. That's why our work matters. That's the Persuade. Okay. Now we have Inspire. Imagine what could happen if 10 more families like Maya's had that same chance. With your help, we can make that possible. A gift of $50 today provides emergency shelter for a night. Let's make sure no family sleeps in their car this winter. You see the difference? If we spend a little bit of time focused on the strategy first and develop our narrative around the framework, it works every time. I promise. Promise. Where could you see using this framework the most? And guess what? It actually works on a website too. Enrollment, yeah. Historical Society. Okay, Laura, I got some ideas for you. Thanks for sharing that. We'll work on that. Speaking engagements, absolutely. Yeah. Fundraising, conversation, written thank you. Yes, absolutely. I have something called a one-liner, and this is perfect. It's just the 3 parts of the EPIC framework, and that's great for an elevator pitch, whether you're talking to donors or volunteers or community members. So healthcare, yep. Social media emails, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. If you focus on the hook with your subject line and have an emoji to the left of it, you will be surprised at how much your open rate increases. We actually did this with Greenville Tech, so seeing really great results. So awesome. Okay, thanks for sharing. All right, we're going to keep going. Okay, now we get to the exciting part. How can we turn one message into dozens of assets, emails, posts, appeals, so that we are working in minutes instead of hours? Hopefully that gets you excited. So based on your responses, this is where we are all at today. Only 12.5% say I'm using AI every day. It's part of my normal workflow. That's good. That's good. 81% are, I still feel a little bit unsure about it. It still feels clunky and generic. Like I just probably need some help figuring out how to prompt. And that's good too. And then 6%, I don't use it much. It feels overwhelming or overhyped. So absolutely can identify with all of those feelings. I've also talked with a lot of nonprofit leaders and done AI boot camps, and this is a skill. It's just like any other skill. It can be learned. And hopefully today with some easy little frameworks and ideas, you'll be able to take off a little bit more. Okay, the pattern that I kept seeing was that strong teams are doing meaningful work, but they don't have a clear way to express it. And AI was producing content that sounded generic instead of authentic. It's great that we can now amplify and everything, but now we've got mass confusion with everybody doing their own messaging, and we're creating all this content, but it might not be on brand. It might not be clear. And so, depending on how big your team is, if Susie's using chat and Johnny is using Claude, we could have a very big problem because now we've got AI amplifying confusion. And so that's another piece to think about. Have you ever said, we're reinventing the wheel every time we write a post or an email or a grant? And I know what we do matters. I just don't know how to say it. So we are going to take care of this. LOL, yes. Thanks, Laura. Okay. How can we use ChatGPT with clarity and confidence? Okay, I'm going to give you a formula here that's going to be really helpful. Most people type, write a donor appeal, and they get a generic output. Instead, use this epic prompt formula. You need to identify the role of who you are, your audience, who they are, the context, what the outcome is that you want it to be, your voice or your tone, and then you want the format. Is it an email or social posts, whatever? Okay, so here's an example of what you could use. Act as a development director for a human services nonprofit. Write a Midlands Gives email for first-time donors. Use an empathetic, hopeful tone. Follow the EPIC framework, and you can just type engage, persuade, inspire, close, and keep it under 300 words. So that's going to get you a lot farther than something that's generic. And so with AI, you can keep refining. If you don't get the exact answer you want, it's okay. Just keep telling it what to modify. And so you will get better and better at knowing how to prompt to get the right output. And it takes a little bit of time. All right. Does everybody know that you can actually create your own GPT? It's relatively easy, and it kind of walks you through it. So I'm going to show you what the process is, and then I'm actually going to show you how to do it. Okay. So here are the steps. We're going to go into chat. You can explore GPTs. You can click create, and then you can simply add all of the information. It actually walks you through the process. So you can have your organization mission, your brand voice, your target audience. You can even put the EPIC framework in there so that you get the same results every time. It would have your branding, your voice and tone, and communication framework. All right, so let's go into demo for just a minute. Any thoughts, any questions for right now? And I'm going to go into chat because I think most people are probably familiar with chat. And then I'm also going to show you a little bit of the platform that I built. Okay, here we go. Let's go over here. All right, so if you are so I have built all these custom GPTs, and you can do this too. Depending on who your audience is, maybe you're creating some kind of LinkedIn makeover, and actually do this a lot. Here's an epic hook generator. It has a lot of formulas into a hook. And so I'm going to show you first about just how to recreate what we talked about. So we go back over here and we say, write a donor email. Let's see what we're I have trained it. So it actually does a pretty good job. But if we can give it a little bit more context and voice and format, we're going to get something different. So let's see one more time. And then I'm going to ask it, what is the difference? All right, so did us there. And okay. Here's the category: audience, context, primary goal, call to action. The general donor email was broad audience. The Midland Gives is specific to first time donors. The context is evergreen fundraising appeal. The Midlands is the tie to the Midlands Giving Day. And so emotional emphasis on how you can help. We also want to make sure that they feel that they already have help if they are more than if they're a long time donor. And so the length and density was slightly more directive with gift tiers on the original, but we had a softer version and more relational on the specific one. And so the strategic difference in one sentence is the first email moves someone toward giving. The second email deepens the connection after they've given. So it's just that little bit of detail that makes all the difference in the world. Here is another tip. Has anybody used AI for strategy? If you don't have the content, how can you create it? A lot of times people will say, ask me 10 questions about, let's see, about dinner appeal I need to make. So what happens is it asks you all the questions all at the same time. So now this will work, but you're not going to get the same level of detail. Here is the trick. You have to say, ask me 10 questions, one at a time. Okay. Ask me 10 questions, one at a time. Because here's the thing, your next question is going to be modified based on your previous answer. So we are going to get to a much deeper level of specificity if we ask that one little piece, one at a time. That's a big difference, okay? One at a time. And so one specific outcome, we want people to give $50. All right, question 2. What does the $50 gift actually go to? What tangible result can you attach to that amount? Example, feeds a family for a week, provides one counseling session, or supplies a backpack. Okay, do you see the difference? If we had just answered all of these, we would not get to the level of detail as if we go through this process. Yes, it takes a little more time, but if you've got a donor appeal or something like that, it's really important to just take that extra time. Okay, so that's one strategy that I've really honed in on. So, okay, questions about either the prompting or the strategic questioning. Once we move on, I'm going to show you how to easily create your own GPT so that you can always be on brand, have your tone and your voice, and then have a communication framework. Any thoughts or questions? Yes, Michaela, absolutely. In ChatGPT, the left under GPT, yes. Where do you build this GPT? Okay, perfect. Y'all are all about the custom GPTs, which I love, which is fantastic. Okay, here we go. When you go to chat, go to explore GPTs. Oh, before I tell you how to build this, I want to make sure that you know that there are so many GPTs out there already. So say you want to search uh, donor appeal message. Nonprofit appeal. Okay, so nonprofit fundraising appeals pro, nonprofit social media and post generator. So here is already a template that you could use. Now it's not going to be custom to your brand or your writing preferences or the framework, but you can also Google all of these other options in writing, productivity, research and analysis, education, and so many more, so many more. So just remember, these are available to you instead of you having to start from a blank page. Okay. This is, let's see, I think to create a custom GPT, you have to have is would be the one that you need, $20. Yes. Any other questions? Keep them coming. Okay, so now once again, you on this left side, you go to explore GPTs, go to the right top and has a plus sign, it's create. Okay. Now here's the cool part. You can either drop in your content, copy and paste from chat somewhere else, or you can use help creating it. So here's the thing. You already know how to create a GPT because it actually tells you step by step. So this says, hi, I'll help you build a new GPT. You can say something like, make a creative who helps generate visuals for new products. What would you like to make? So just say Central Carolina nation, and we want a event registration template. Okay, so just follow the prompts. Once the prompts are answered, it will actually configure it in this other piece. So just keep working on that. But to show you another way that you can create a custom GPT very easily is just go back to chat and say, I want to make a custom GPT about my organization and I want it to include all these things. Remember, when you go back to the formula, ensure that you have your role, the audience, the context, the outcome, and the voice format. Okay. So you just write in the prompt that you want, and it will actually tell you, you just say, give me complete copy, paste, custom GPT instructions. And so it will pop out a bunch of stuff, probably not because I didn't give a lot of info, but I'll show you what a custom GPT looks like inside. And let's see, go to the welcome email. Maybe this is like for a new donor. So when you want to edit it, you can go here, edit GPT. So I've named it, I've given it a brief description, and here are the instructions that I have given this custom GPT. Every welcome email generated must include the following components. Okay, this is probably for one of my soap opera sequences. And so the conversation starter, you don't have to have a conversation starter, but maybe you want to say, let's go. And then you go down here and you go to update. And if you want to add a little thumbnail with a picture, you can go here and you can either upload a photo or you can simply ask the dolly. I think it's a dolly, but and it will create one for you. Okay, so you go to update, you're done, you go, let's go, and then you are able to use it. And sometimes it'll ask you questions. So say you have a team, one of you is maybe a little bit more savvy with GPT. And so you can simply have it ask you specific questions. So are you a team member? So that is how you can very easily and quickly create a GPT. Now, here's the other thing. If you're still a little bit unsure, just simply ask chat. Tell me step by step how I can make my own custom GPT. And again, it's going to show you step by step how to do it. It's not as hard as it looks. And here's actually the code. So here you can engage, persuade, inspire, close. So it offered an example. And so all you'd have to do is just copy and then go in here to create a GPT and drop it in. It's literally that easy. So questions. What questions do you have? I know I gave you a lot of information. Amber, this is available in free version. Yes. Anybody else? Does this make sense? Do you have any questions? Does it open up some doors in your mind to maybe this whole AI thing could be a little bit easier? Here's the thing with AI. You got to practice. You're not going to break it. You just have to practice. And for me, it just happened to be I kind of became my own prompt engineer. I knew the output that I wanted, so I had to keep changing the input. And once I got that down, then I would actually create the custom GPT. And so that's all it is. That's all it is. Okay, questions? Any questions? Now I'm going to go and switch gears a little bit, show you how to take a long piece of messaging or a story, and we can break it down into lots of different pieces. How's that sound? And I'm going to see if um, we were doing some updates. And so let's see. Let's see if this will work. If not, then I'll go back to GPT, but I've got things kind of set up here. We'll see here. All right, so go back to our instructions here. Okay. All right, so we know how to keep a GPT. The Epic operating system. This is a strategy-first messaging system that creates clear, consistent, scalable communication. So just like I showed you how to make your custom GPT or how to prompt chat, is that you need to make sure that you're on brand. So know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and why people should care. The second part you need, again, are those voice and tone guidelines. Sound human. Do you want to be conversational? Do you want to be more professional? Do you want to be inspirational? Make sure that you are giving that instruction every time. And then have a communication framework in anything that you build or any prompt that you have. You're welcome to use the Epic framework. All you'd have to say is just engage, persuade, inspire, close. And I taught, some of you might know Sally Zelensky from SC for Life. And I actually trained her a year ago on AI, and she came back to me just a few weeks ago. She said, I'm still using Epic and AI. I love it. And so you can do this. It's not difficult. It just takes a little bit of practice. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that. I have something to give you in just a little bit. Let me see if this will populate for me yet. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I created from an interview that I did with Star Gospel Mission. It was 30,000 words. I then had AI categorize everything. Star Gospel Mission, we got the programs, all the phases. We've got the women and children's program, Dr. Marion Platt's story, key quote success stories. Now, if you look at this, it looks like it's a bunch of bullet points, right? Where's the story? Where is the story? It's actually in here. So all you'd have to do, and you can do this with anything, is to take it to your GPT or chat, one or the other, and we're just going to say, write a story with these facts. Like my bar still getting a little bit hot there. Let me go back over here, show you. Let's see. Okay, I have something called a soap opera sequence. Does anybody know what a soap opera sequence is? What is it about soap operas? It's headline and kids. Drama. Yes, story keeps going. Absolutely. Perfect. Yes. So the reason why sequences work is because it keeps them hanging on for the next email. See, this is how it works. So every email has a specific detail. So the first one is the hook. Subject line: he slept 14 feet from the sleep, but 14 miles from hope. Preview text: 17 men, one room, and a choice that changed everything. Here's the headline: from concrete to calling, the night Ethan walked through our front doors. And then here we go right into the story. Ethan clutched a trash bag filled with everything he owned. Okay, we've got a little bit more of the strategy, the framework here, and then we have a call to action. Give $130, give $520, pick one of those. And then with PS, Ethan didn't want pity. He needed a place that he believed still carried his worth. Your gift tells the next man you care. Now, if I was in my own my Epic operating system, it would actually do a PS like, in the next email, I'm going to show you what Ethan did, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the way that I encourage you to use a sequence is the first time a donor gives. You want to validate and affirm them into the fact that you, number one, appreciate their gift. Number two, you can show them where their money is going, focus on that one story, and just continue to nurture that relationship. And so you can see that we took one piece of content and it wasn't even a story, it was a bunch of bullet points. So when you have the right framework on the back end, you can create really cool things. Now, here is another idea. Here is the full story that I created. And I'm going to go back over here. And let's see. If you ever make a lot of GPTs, for some reason, they don't let you organize them. So I created all these and I will show you. Hopefully I can get the social media one. All right, most of us have Facebook, Instagram, some have LinkedIn, right? So you don't have to say create one post. We're going to do the same thing with social media where we can create a sequence. Maybe you have an upcoming event coming up and you want to create a campaign. Okay, so here is the social media GPT. I'm just going to, again, prompt, I'm say create 5 Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn posts in a 5-part sequence. Okay, now make sure that you tell it modify each post by number of words and hashtags. Not all of them need hashtags, only ones. Okay, so we're just going to take that entire piece of information, this entire story. Now, would anybody read the story if you sent them this long story in the email? Probably not. Even though it's a really great story, they're probably not going to take the time. The way that we can combat that is to create a sequence. All right, so we want to say, let's say we have a gala coming up on April 8th. And so just give it a little bit more context and it will actually give everything that you need. It's still asking me lots of questions. Let's say community sponsors. Okay, here we go. The dream began under the bridge. Okay, here's Facebook. This has about 140 words. Again, I like an emoji because it captures the attention, it captures your eye. Here's Facebook 1 and Instagram 1. Has fewer words and it has hashtags. LinkedIn has 165 that also has hashtags. And here's part 2 of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Here's part 3. So we have created 15 social media posts in about 60 seconds. So that is how you can take one large piece of content that is absolutely standout story. You guys are sitting on gold mines of stories. And so I want you to think about creating that one story and then maybe focus it on an upcoming event. You have to get the word out anyways in a campaign and just repurpose that content. Here's the other thing that you can do. You all have a website, most likely, and you already have a ton of content on that website. So I want you to think about where have I already created the content? Where is our branding? Where is what we're doing so far? And let's see, I'll do in Anderson, South Carolina, just for kicks. So if you simply copy the first page of your website, okay, I'm just copying the content, and you go to chat and you simply say, create the branding for my business or nonprofit, and just add in all of the special places where you have content, maybe like what we do, probably under what we do, who we are, So if you copy all of the content you've already created, then you can then recreate it through here. And so that's where I would start is probably with a brand story. And your brand story is able to tell you who you're looking for, who are you helping, what problems are they overcoming, and what the transformation is. So hopefully that helps. You have all the content. Just think about ways to repurpose it. How are y'all doing? I know we're kind of wrapping up. And any questions? While you think about your questions, happy to stay on and do a little bit more demo if you have any specific questions about chat. I also use Claude. I really like Claude for long form content. It's a fantastic tool for that. Here are some really great ones for design. It's called Notebook LM. This is fascinating, y'all. You drop in a file or you type in some text and then you click, do you want a slide deck? Do you want an infographic? Do you want reports? Do you want a table? This is great for your board meetings or presentations. The recent one that I did was an infographic, and I simply just gave it a few prompts and it created this amazing infographic. So you can see engage, persuade, inspire, close, noise and clarity. Clarity is the secret to fundraising momentum. So Notebook LM, that is a great one. Another one is Nano Banana. I know, it's kind of strange, but it's the same kind of idea. And you can simply say what size, what aspect ratio do you want? Enter in the information about what you want it to create, and it will create some amazing things. Claude actually creates some really good designs. Let's see if I can find one that it made for me. Let's see, packages. Can you believe that Claude made something like this? And all I did was put in there the details of what I want, and it actually made this whole entire piece. And so from there, all I did was copy the code and I inserted it into my website. So you can create really fantastic graphics with that. So Nano Banana, Chat GPT makes some really good ones, Notebook LM, and Nano Banana. So think about those when you're creating some more graphics. Okay, I know we're almost up. I'm going to share just a little gift that I have for you. Feel free to put any questions in here while I am finishing up. Okay, I want to give you a 7-day free trial of Epic operating system. No strings attached. I want you to be able to just play around with it, focus on your mission, then you can communicate with clarity, turn that engagement into giving, and stop reinventing the wheel. So here is the link. If you go to app.epicimpact.ai/beta, you can create a free account. And so, again, it's Epic. I put it in the chat. You're welcome to copy it and paste it. And what that gives you is access to this dashboard. So when you come in, you'll be able to, there'll be a questionnaire up here. You'll be able to insert some of your branding, and you'll have your voice and your tone, and then you'll have the Epic framework is built into every single tool on this dashboard. And so when I come here, it's already knows me, it has my background. All I have to say, if I can go to brand story and just say, what is the summary? Hi for you. And the cool thing about the Epic framework or the Epic OS is that it actually will ask you questions instead of just expecting you to do it all. So say you need help creating your brand story, click guide me through it, and it will ask you one question at a time to help you get through all the questions, and then it will create that content for you. So I would start with the brand story. Go here. And then there's other things. There's a web copy audit. If y'all are ever in need of trying to figure out if your website actually works, you can simply copy and paste the content of your web page and ask it. It will actually give you an audit, and it will offer a table of recommendations, and then it will rewrite it for you as well. So you can play around with that. There's social media, there's email. You can do the 5-part fundraising sequence or the soap opera sequence. There's social media. Here is the Epic Universal message generator. If you want to just create a general message, you can use this one. So I want to give that, you guys can get in there and try it out. Lead generators is big. We don't often think about donor lead generators, but that's another one that um, you can either guide me through it or copy in some of your website and it'll give you some ideas. So,
Well, I want to say thank you so much, Haley, for today's presentation. Thank you so much for this gift. I hope that you all do take advantage of using this platform. You have the 7 days, and I'm sure that you can get a lot of content created in 7 days. Haley, is there the best way to stay in contact with you? Do you have a contact page for them?
absolutely. Yes. If
Perfect.
you, I have two, so you can go to Epic. You can go to epicimpact.ai. This is a little bit of information about me. You can actually download a free 5-part fundraising flywheel. I have a ton of digital courses for free, no cost. And so if you come here, go to Boost Donor Giving. If you want to make an appointment, you can click Get Clarity First. This just tells you a little bit about my heart for you. You are my heroes, and I really have a lot of respect for nonprofit leaders. I know you're wearing so many hats and you're doing so many things, and so I knew I had to create a tool that could help. So you can find me there, and then my email address is, which I will put in on the box as well. Let's see if I can just create a. Actually, I'll
And
just
thank
put
you
it
so
under
much,
here.
David, for putting the epic.impact.ai in the chat. Please do copy that as you need to. And again, we'll make sure that all this information is added into the description within today's recording. I see some questions about the recording. We do our best to get these up by the end of today, if not tomorrow, along with any tools that Haley would like to share with you all.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity to maximize your capacity and get back to what you love to do, which is the mission and helping people discover why you exist. So hopefully you can take advantage of it.
All right. Well, thank you all again so much for participating in today's training session. If you do have more questions about this, again, Haley is available. She's got her information there. We'll make sure that you get that information as well. Today's recording, again, will be available by the end of today, if not tomorrow. And then, of course, thank you for all the work that you do for our communities. We really appreciate you. And have a great rest of your week.